Hi friends, it's Byron and I'm back with a brand new video. I am going to get used to trying to hold this mic and talk to you guys, but I am here to share with you. I went on an African safari through National Geographic and with G Adventures, and it was amazing. That's how I'll sum up the entire trip. But I will give you definitely my opinions as I break down the trip and the things that happen along the way as we go on through this video. So get a pen and paper, leave some questions in the comments, and I will definitely do my best to try to answer them. I booked this trip, like I said, through National Geographic, and I'm gonna give you guys some information. Maybe I can insert it here and let you guys know what it was all about. And I will say this, that the part of the trip that I took, it was a part of a bigger trip. So the people that were in the group already knew each other by the time they got to me. I was on the second leg of a 3-leg trip. So if it already seems like some of these people have formed some bonds, it's because they did, because they met in Cape Town. That's where the trip originally started. Then it came to Johannesburg in the greater Kruger national area, and that's where I joined them. And then it came back to Johannesburg for the people that were leaving that only did the first two parts of the trip or the middle of the part of the trip, like I did. And then they moved on to Victoria Falls in Namibia or Zambia or wherever it is, Zimbabwe or wherever it is that they went on for the third leg of the trip. So, without further ado, you guys know how I am. I am just going to get right into the accommodations, starting with the chalets that were in Johannesburg. This place was really nice. Hi, friends, I'm back. And how did you guys like those accommodations? So, for the first hotel that we were at where the chalets were, I'm very sorry. I forgot to get a aerial shot of the lobby, but there was a lobby, there was a bar, there was a sitting area, and then there was a dining hall. They all served buffet type style breakfast, lunch, and dinner at these places. So that setup was pretty much all the same, and those things were included in the price of the trip. If you had to buy your own lunch, it was on days that we were actually traveling that we weren't at one of the accommodations, and then all when we were traveling on the mornings, they had a takeaway breakfast that was there. They call it takeaway, we call it to go. But I will say that the takeaway breakfast was not to my liking. There was a chocolate muffin or some kind of muffin that was in there that I'm sure it was like a 1, 2, 3 kind of bake because it was baked inside of the wrapper, which it was sweet. It was still good. There was a banana and then an apple. And then they had, for the first one, they had a, what you call a turkey and cheese sandwich, but it had an extra piece of bread in the middle of it. And there was only one thin slice of turkey in it. Um, those takeaway breakfasts was something to be desired. There was some peanuts and raisins, and then they had some kind of mango juice, or you got water or something like that. I personally, whenever I travel, I like to bring a bag of Cheez-Its. So let's just say they definitely came in handy. But other than that, what do you guys thought about the second one? It was like Mboonha, the Echo Lodge. Amazing. And now we're kind of out in the rural part of Johannesburg, and the animals are there. Like, they were out and about. You didn't see a lot of them on this particular property. That crocodile that I showed you guys was not a real one, but they did say there was another pond behind it where crocodiles were. I wasn't interested in finding out to meeting these animals face to face, but they were there. There were very small lizards and things running around the property and stuff like that. Not too many that it scared you or got into your room. But again, we were there. When I was there, it was in the what would be their fall was our spring. So the seasons are opposite, and it was cool. So at night it was somewhere like low 50s, high 40s, and then in the daytime it was pretty much around 70, 75 degrees the entire time that I was there at the end of May. So I honestly thought that it was a very good time to go. It wasn't extremely hot. Yes, you did have to have on a light jacket most of the time, and especially during the later hours or the earlier morning hours, but I'd rather have that than sweating to no. Yeah. Anyway, it's easier to put a layer on than trying to take some layers off when you're in public. So anyway, without further ado, there was a part of the trip when we started to make the travel after Johannesburg, and it was called the panoramic route. So we went along the drive to that route to get to the greater national slash Kruger National Park area. And on the way, we stopped at some of the parks that were there, and I'll show you those sites right now. But before I do, you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you're liking the video so far. And don't forget to you can always leave a comment, and I definitely, if there's a question in it, I definitely try to answer them. And all of the parks were included in the cost of the trip, so you didn't have to pay any admissions. And I know I said I was going to show you guys the clips, and I'm getting ready to, but what I liked about when you were in the national parks where these geological sites were, the vendors that were there, one, most of the time they didn't approach you, and if they did, that was just to speak. And if they asked you if you wanted to look at something, you said no, they left you alone. Like, they did not hassle you at any of the places that we stopped at, whether it was inside of a town or at one of these parks. Like, they did not hassle you to buy something, and that was very refreshing. Okay, so on with the geographical parks and all of the mountains in the landscape. I'll be back. did you guys think about these geographical um, sites? They were amazing. So the first one was the three rendezvous, and that's where you were looking for like the mountain with like the little crown on top, and then there was two to the side. They call that the king and the two queens, and then they had many different viewpoints where you can view the rendezvous, and it was just amazing. All of the parks were wheelchair accessible, and they were all included in the price of the trip. So the vendors that were there, they didn't press you to buy any of their stuff. They spoke if you looked at them. Otherwise, they just kind of kept to themselves, which was really refreshing. I will say that oftentimes in the parks, the the very first park with the three rendezvous, they didn't even have running water, but there was a person that had a bucket of clean water where you can wash your hands. Anyway, it was a moment that I didn't record, but I probably should have. But anyway, sensible shoes to wear. I mean, like, there were rocks there. I know in one of the videos I highlighted, like, if you had some shoes with a rubber sole, you were pretty much okay. You didn't need like these extravagant boots or whatever. And I will say this, friends, I videoed all of this from my iPhone. I didn't have a big special camera. I thought a lot of the things came out just fine. So don't pressure yourself over buying this or doing that. If you're gonna go on the trip, just come as you are. Use the stuff that you know. And anyway, it was a really good trip. The second one was the ones with the canyons in it, and I mean, like, the way that the water, of course, you know how a canyon works, like shape the rocks and things like that. The little lizards that were running across the thing. I mean, it was just amazing. The weather was beautiful. And then the last part was the God's Window. Very high altitude. You can see like some of the fogginess of the clouds. It was I keep saying supposed. It was in a movie that made it famous. I forget what the guy that told us, but I don't know. It was so picturesque. You could just walk and take your pictures, do your own thing. It was a very, very interesting panoramic route. Now, I put the segment of this video together in like, it's like a 5-minute segment, but that took hours to get to the Kruger National area that we were going to from Johannesburg. So it was at least an 8-hour drive, and that's just the drive, not with the stop. So by the time we got to where we were going, we left at 6 in the morning. It was probably 5:36 in the afternoon. So it was a very long drive, but they do make sure you get stops and bathroom breaks along the way. And if you request one, they would oblige. So anyway, on to the safaris. That's what we're here for. So inside of the parks and the national park, of course, they had campgrounds, cabins, a 5-star train cart hotel that I will feature in this video in Kruger National Park. Plenty of places to eat. They do still have, not in the Kruger National Park, but in Africa, they have game reserves where people do pay to come and shoot the animals, but they do use the meat for other things, and they do resell it and things like that. That doesn't make it better, but at least the animals didn't die for just sport and in vain. So anyway, and when we were at the reserve, I did try some impala at the last reserve that we were at, because they were serving it at our farewell barbecue night. And who knows, I probably was eating some of the stuff that I thought was chicken, and who knows what it was. But anyway, no, the chicken looked like chicken. In the game reserve, they said it was like 9,000 square feet. So, they knew what territorial animals that were there. So we may even see the king of the jungle. I know the queen was there. And stay tuned, because your boy gets out of the safari jeep and our whole group walked 20 feet away from 3 cheetah brothers, which I believe they call a coalition. But anyway, we got to talk about cheetahs from a National Geographic specialist about cheetahs and their cohabitation and reserving them and all of the good stuff. Anyway, enjoy the safari, people. I know I did.
Break your knees getting in. Yeah, this metal thing is tough. How did
Yeah.
you do it, Kenny? Are you okay?
Alright.
Okay. Where the animals? How do you keep the animals from getting out there?
There's a big electrified fence all around the park, but hey, they can still walk.
Ah. All right, so let us in the park.
It depends on the size of the vehicle.
You mean one?
Oh yeah, it's just this little.
Yeah, single file.
Just to the south of road. Yeah, petrol market in the area. Yeah, Sunday, take first and right, check, I'll quickly pull up. That's true. The leopard is medium size, it's not that tall. A lot of muscles. And then the spot of the leopard are in a form of a flower, a rosette. But these guys, you can see the soul. This is the smallest of all the mongoose.
Are they eating termite?
Okay, friends, I'm back. That cheetah is right there. So what did you guys think of the safari? I did not want to show you a whole bunch of pictures of the animals, but because I know oftentimes it can get bored. But we went on one safari in Kruger National Park that morning, and then we were on the game reserve. I think we went on like 5 throughout the time that we were there over the course of the 2 days. They provided you drinks and food throughout the safari. So on some of the lakes where we were, they set up a little campsite on the front of this Jeep here. And it was kind of like a picnic kind of table there. So they really did go all out. They made it real fancy. Of course, if you needed to relieve yourself, you had to do it in the bush, male or female. There was no bathrooms. It was just so in the moment, so amazing. Like, I enjoyed everything about this trip. I didn't include footage when we went from town to town, but the guide was so knowledgeable. He definitely talked about the towns and the things that went on there. And believe it or not, those animals were alongside of the highway, especially like the monkeys and things that could climb the fence. But then in the villages and things where you pass by, you would, the way you see Africa and the way it was different. Not to say that those kind of places don't exist, but most of the houses look like ours. Some of it did look like people just hand built them, but then they had like billy goats and donkeys and cows and stuff just roaming the streets. They were walking right alongside of the road. I mean, and I say highway because it was a 2-lane highway, but most of the point it was a road. But anyway, you just gotta go see it to believe some of the things that were happening. And then, we stopped in the villages, in the stores and things like that. It was just those in the moment things that I just wanted to keep for myself, and I didn't want to take from anyone else when you go and experience it. So if you don't get to go and experience it, I hope this video really painted a phenomenal, or at least a good picture of what it was like to go on a safari and be in a or take a National Geographic trip. The only tips that I would have to say is that I know one of the couples that was there from Canada, The trip started in Cape Town, so their travel agent booked it for them to leave in Cape Town, but they were actually leaving in Johannesburg. So I would just say, number one tip, make sure that your departure and your arrival and all that stuff is straightened out, because oftentimes you start in one place but you don't end there. And for me, I started and ended. Booking with National Geographic was very easy. I just called the number up. I guess they call it some kind of officer, but basically it was a travel agent, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to say basically to take away from their title, but that person helped me book the trip. If you had any questions, that was your contact person. And even if you couldn't get in contact with the person that originally booked your trip, you could talk to any of the people that were answering the phones, and they were most gladly there to help you. I will say this: I pay for my own room, so make sure that is an add-on that you actually see on your bill, because they will put you in a room with someone of the same sex. There was a couple there that, thank God, they got along because they were in a room. So, and then the other thing is that she made a point to make sure that I had my own room throughout the entire trip. So make sure that is a thing as well. I would say this: even if it isn't, because I kind of thought, well, if I had to room with somebody in one part of the trip opposed to 4 parts of the trip, then I'd rather just do it with them all 4 parts of the trip. No, because there was another single guy there from France. If I had to sleep with him or sleep in the same room with him the entire trip, anyway, so I'd rather it had been one night. If it had happened, I had my own room throughout the entire time. So just make sure that you, not only if you want to have your own room, order it, then just ask them, are you going to have your own room the entire time? So at least you would know that, okay, at this point, X, Y, and Z. Take whatever camera you want. This video was shot from my iPhone 13 Pro Max. I bought a drone, which you can't even fly your drones in the national park anyway. And if you did fly them, the bush is so thick that you wouldn't even get that much footage anyway. You just get the aerial view, but you definitely do what you want to do. I bought a lot of stuff to get very good pictures and videos and stuff for this trip, and I ended up just pretty much using, I used my iPhone the entire time. I would just say, tip number 3 is just, be mindful of others. I know it's your lifetime dream trip. I know it was a bucket list trip for me, but you got to respect other people's spaces and respect other people's time. So just being mindful of that. I usually try to give you guys like 5 tips. Oh, try some of the local food. Like I said, at the barbecue that they did have, for us on the last night, I did try some of the impala. It just pretty much tastes like a beef that you would probably put in a stew or something. And the very last thing that I would say is tip number 5 is just have fun. Enjoy it. Take in the moment. Take a lot of pictures, but then just look and just take it all in. Oh my God, you guys. I can't wait till my next vacation. I hope you guys are out there enjoying life. I will definitely see you guys in the next one. Oh, and at the end of this clip, the staff sings happy birthday to me. The tour guide Vitalis was an awesome tour guide, and he surprised me with a birthday cake. Everybody sang happy birthday. It was amazing. Tune in for that birthday song. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.